Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron. Welcome back to my holiday 2019 box office predictions. And today, we're going to be talking about Black Christmas 2019 because this is what the world wanted, right? Because the world demanded that Black Christmas deserves another reboot. Yes, just like how the world demanded that Home Alone needed a reboot, or The Lion King needed a reboot, or Charlie's Angels needed a reboot. Because that's what everyone wants, right? Right? Of course not. But we're stuck with it anyway. So we're going to go over the pros and cons of Black Christmas 2019 edition. So let's jump right into it. Pros. Well, there are no horror movies in the marketplace right now. So it has that particular market to itself. I mean, you could argue that Cats is a horror movie. But look, even if a movie looks absolutely terrifying, it doesn't automatically mean it's a horror movie. So we can't compare the two, sadly. Even though they're both being released by Universal. Fun fact. Uh, see, the next pro is the release date. Because this movie is being released on Friday the 13th. And you know what that means? It's the scary, spooky day of, well, pretty much any month. And, when it comes to a horror movie, Friday the 13th is the equivalent to Christmas. It's the perfect day to release the movie. It's the most ideal day. And there's been like a history of movies that have opened on that day and have done pretty decent. They did pretty decent for themselves. I mean, you got movies like Happy Death Day, the first one. Insidious Chapter 2. The Friday the 13th reboot, which came out literally 10 years ago. Uh, Even pieces of crap like The Bye Bye Man and Truth or Dare still made a decent amount of money, just because they released on that day. So it was smart for Universal to position this on Friday the 13th. And also helps that, it's the Christmas season, so it fits very well. And the final pro is the production company behind this, Blumhouse Productions, which is headed up by one Jason Blum. You may have heard of his name, you may have heard of his production company. He's known for series like Paranormal Activity, Insidious, Sinister, The Purge. I'm looking through this massive list of movies he's produced. He did Whiplash, funny enough. Ouija, anyone remember Ouija? Boy Next Door, Unfriended, The Gift, The Visit, that's a good one. Gem and the Holograms, if anyone remembers that piece of garbage. Split, Get Out, that's a huge one. And yeah, he did all those. And while some of these, well, a decent percentage of these movies aren't very good, they still made money. Why? Because Blumhouse Productions, they made them at such a low cost and had very targeted advertising towards teens and college students who don't know what real horror is. They just think, oh, jump scares, that's horror. And so it's easy money. And then they're able to make their budget back in like 2 or 3 days. I mean, this movie only cost $5 million, so it only needs $10 million to break even technically. And it should do that this weekend alone. So, say what you want about Jason Blum and the quality of his movies. You have to at least respect him as a businessman because what he's doing is financially brilliant. Right? Because you make your movies at such a low cost and you have very targeted advertising. Those people show up and you get a ton of profit. So, yeah, it's brilliant. So with all that being said, let's get to the cons. Con number one: why was this made? It's the same question I had with that Charlie's Angels reboot from last month. Because honestly, what Hollywood executive up there in Universal, they'll probably look at like the calendar. In fact, this movie was made in June, in less than 6 months. Like, so I guess like in May, someone was like, you know, We could make an original horror movie, but that takes too much effort. Let's reboot something. I mean, we already rebooted Halloween, which was a great success. But what else can we reboot? Ooh, I know. Let's reboot Black Christmas because everyone remembers Black Christmas. It's such a horror classic. You know, even though like the original Black Christmas, which was released like in 1974, has nowhere near the same level of notoriety as Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Child's Play. It doesn't have that same appeal, really. And they already rebooted this back in 2006 from the Weinstein Company, which doesn't sound too good now. But granted, this was 2006. No one knew about all the awful stuff Harvey Weinstein did. Alright. And that movie went through some issues. Like, it had like some script problems. It had had a bunch of studio interference. And that movie bombed. Despite opening on Christmas Day, it bombed, and it bombed hard. So if that movie bombed, how much better is this gonna do? You gotta think about that. And considering how a lot of movies this year, a lot of franchise films have faltered. I mean, we're talking about X-Men, Men in Black, Charlie's Angels, Terminator, Godzilla. Like, a lot of movies, Hellboy, a lot of them have just straight up faltered. So it's the chances of this really succeeding aren't too great. The next con is the advertising campaign. The advertising has not been very good. I mean, I've been getting ads for it on videos, which is something I can't say about Charlie's Angels. But still, the ads just, they don't look very good at all. Like, there's like this one ad where like one of the main characters, she's using Christmas lights as a flashlight. And I'm like, who does that? Have you ever used Christmas lights as a flashlight for anything? Because I don't know anyone who has. So that just looked, personally to me, that looked dumb. But I looked at the trailers. I looked at the comments. And a lot of them were like, wait, bruh, you spoiled the twist in the trailer. And I'm just like, how did they spoil the twist? So I look at it and they literally show who the killer is. Because this is the type of movie where you're not supposed to know who the killer is. It's kind of like a whodunit. Just like, Happy Death Day was kind of a sort of whodunit. Like figuring out who is the killer. Right? And they say here, like, they say, like, oh, as the body count, like a black masked stalker begins killing sorority women one by one. As the body count rises, Riley and her squad start this question whether they can trust any man, including Marty's beta male boyfriend, Nate, and, all that. It's a whodunit. When you spoil who the killer is in the trailer, there's no point of watching the movie. And a lot of people just like, hey, good job, you saved me $10 by showing that twist. So it's just like how Terminator Genesis showed its twist. Like, it's the worst thing you could possibly do. It's so dumb. And also another con is this movie has a very clear 2019 mentality behind it. I've seen that in a lot of movies. Again, Charlie's Angels, Terminator Dark Fate, even Countdown had, if anyone remembers that, they had like a 2019 mentality. And that's just not popular. People go to the movies to escape from the real world, to be like in a fantasy world where they don't have to worry so much about all the bad things in the world. They don't want to be reminded of stuff, let's say, I don't know, sexual harassment and all this female power, empowerment, feminism stuff. Like, a lot of people just don't care about that. It's not important. Because when you're judging a movie, you shouldn't judge it by how many women are in it, how many minorities are in it. Because at the end of the day, none of it matters. You should judge it if it's a good movie or not. Alright? Because it doesn't matter how diverse or how inclusive a movie is. If it's bad, it's bad. End of story. And you can see that here, like, this synopsis. Whoever the killer is, he's about to discover that this generation's young women are about to be anybody's victims. That sounds like something like a Tumblr user would say, or like a blue check mark on Twitter would say. Like, I don't know if I would be marketing your movie like this, or just like having this be the synopsis. That's just bad. It's just, ugh. So overall, uh, opening weekend, I'm going to say anywhere between 10 to 15 million. I think is reasonable. It should at the very least, beat the 2006 remake. If it can't do that, then there was no point in making this movie at all. I mean, and besides the 2006 reboot, that is such a low bar that like I would laugh if it didn't even reach that. But because, the release date and the production studio, it should do at least a little better than that. And overall, I'm going to say overall run, because of all the competition coming up, 25 to 30, probably 30, I think is ideal. Which would still be like double of what the 2006 movie made. So at least it has that going for it. So yeah, that's Black Christmas 2019, the reboot nobody wanted. Fantastic. So next up, we're going to be talking about a movie that people are going to see, but how many, that's questionable. And that's Jumanji: The Next Level. And then after that, we do Richard Jewell. And after that, we get to Cats, Rise of Skywalker, Bombshell, Little Women, Spies in Disguise, and I believe, I think Uncut Gems is gonna go out wide this weekend. It doesn't say. I've heard it does. It's, it's kind of up there right now, but yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing next. So make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. If you want to check out some of my other predictions, I have a playlist, Holiday 2019 playlist. You can go check that out. And yeah, that's it. That's all. And I am out.